Hey guys, today I'm filming a review with swatches and comparison of the ColourPop Summer Collection and the Yes Please palette. So ColourPop did not release a large collection for summer this year. Instead, they released a bunch of random mini collections, and there was really only one that I was interested in, which would be their summer shadow releases. They launched 4 Super Shock shadows and 12 pressed powder shadows. I purchased 3 of the Super Shocks and 1 of the pressed powders. I was planning on buying a few more of the pressed powder, but I found the shades I wanted to be very similar to some shades in the Yes Please palette and to other shades that I already own in my collection. So I absolutely love all of the ColourPop accounts that I follow, and one of my favorite accounts is Mimera929. I will have her Instagram account linked down below. Her name is Adelina, and she does amazing swatches, and what I really appreciated is that she did swatch comparisons of all of these individual summer shadows, which was very, very helpful because it kept me from buying a lot of shades that I had things that were super similar to. So as I said, her Instagram will be linked down below. I am going to be inserting her pictures once we get to the comparison portion, and those are her pictures, they are not mine, so I wanted to make sure that was very clear, but I greatly appreciated them and it helped a lot. Also, I would recommend checking out Christine's blog, temptalia.com. She has a option on her site where you can look at swatches and you can compare swatches of 2 different products, and that is what I did with a few of these that I didn't see other posts on. That way, instead of having to request from an Instagrammer that they can swatch 2 shadows together to compare them for you, you can just pick whatever shadows you want and compare them to each other from Christine's blog, which is very helpful. She also has a bunch of amazing dupes, so I will have Christine's blog linked down below as well, because both of these ladies really helped me a lot when choosing the shadows that I wanted from this collection. So now I am going to show you all of the shades that I purchased. I'm going to give you the color description from the ColourPop website, and I'm going to show you swatches. The Super Shock Shadow in Snakebite is described as a metallic warm copper, and it has an ultra metallic finish. The Super Shock Shadow in Banana Daiquiri is described as a teal with gold glitter, and this is a ultra metallic finish. The Super Shock Shadow in As You Wait is described as a golden peachy rose, and it has an ultra metallic finish. The Pressed Powder Shadow in Board Shorts is described as a metallic bronze, and this has a metallic finish. So jumping right in with these Super Shocks, as I said, I did purchase 3 of the 4. The one shade I did not purchase is Deep Dive because it was a deeper shimmery bronzy brown. I am very particular with the kind of bronzes that I like. Usually on me they end up looking just kind of like a dull shimmery brown, so I decided to skip on that one. So out of the 4 Super Shocks, 3 of them are brand new releases, and the shade Snakebite has been released in a previous collection. This was available in a summer 6-piece shadow set a few years back. So ColourPop Super Shock shadows are some of my favorite ColourPop products of all time. I just filmed a ColourPop hits and misses that I will have linked up here, and out of the Super Shock shadow finishes, my favorite would be Pearlized and Ultra Metallic. So I was ecstatic when I found out that all of these shades would have an ultra metallic finish. And what I take from that finish is that they're going to be very pigmented, have a gorgeous metallic sheen to them, but they are not going to have any bits of glitter in them. So now for the pressed powder shadows, they did launch 12 of them, and at the same time they launched their small palette, which retails for $7, and it fits 12 eyeshadows. So the fact that all of these shadows fit perfectly in that palette was so tempting. Even colors I had no desire in getting, I now wanted them because they all perfectly fit into that palette, but thank God I resisted. But that was so visually appealing that they almost got me. So they have 4 shimmery lighter shades, they have 4 warm matte neutrals, and then they do have 4 more bright colorful shades. 3 of them are shimmers and 1 of them is a matte. So all of these shades were very appealing to me, but a lot of these shades seem very similar to other ColourPop eyeshadows that I already own. So I decided to skip on them. And for all of those eyeshadows, I will have their color descriptions listed in the description box, and I will also let you know what shades I own that I think are similar enough that I don't need them. So all of that information will be down below. And I bet that you are surprised that out of the 12, the shade that I felt like was the most unique was the bronze color. And for me it is, because as I said, I don't own a ton of bronze eyeshadows because I'm very picky about them. And this bronze has a lot of orangey copper tones to it, which is stunning, but yet it isn't so much orange copper that it looks like a copper shadow. It definitely still does look bronze, and depending on the base that you put underneath, it can look a little bit more of a bronzy shade, or it can look a little bit more coppery. So as far as the formula of the pressed powder shadows, I love the mattes. I find them very pigmented and easy to work with. I do love the shimmers, but they're not perfect to me. I feel like for these eyeshadows to be the most pigmented and to have the biggest punch, and for the metallic shadows to actually look metallic on the eye, I need to put them over top of a colored base. And that isn't necessarily a negative, because with almost all of my regular pressed powder shadows from any brand, I always put them over top of a colored base so I can get the most intensity. So I am going to jump into showing you guys comparison swatches of all of these eyeshadows, and then at the end I'm just going to talk about the Yes Please palette. So starting with ColourPop Snakebite, they describe this as a metallic warm copper, but I had always thought of this as a gold shade. So I wanted to compare it next to the gold shadow from ColourPop that I have, as well as one of my copper eyeshadows I thought would be similar. So starting right here, we have Get Lucky, Snakebite, and Kathleen Lights. As you can see, that Get Lucky is more of a true gold, Kathleen Lights has a lot more copper, and Snakebite is right in the middle. Here is Snakebite, here is Get Lucky, and here is Kathleen Lights. You can tell that all three of these shades are very different. Next, for the shade Banana Daiquiri, this is one that I thought was gonna look identical to some other bluey green shades I have from ColourPop. I think that these shades are definitely different. So here are these three shades right here. Is Ibiza, this is Banana Daiquiri, and this is Flower Shop. So Ibiza is a lot brighter, more blue. Flower Shop is a bit more of a muted, dustier shade, and it has a lot more green in it. I thought that these two were gonna look identical, but they're definitely a lot different. Here is Banana Daiquiri, this is Ibiza, and this is Flower Shop. So if blue is not one of your go-to shades, you don't need all three of these, but hopefully this might help you to see which one of these you think might be your perfect bluey green. And As You Wave is a little bit more of a complicated color. This has a really beautiful, bright, warm pink coral base, and on the top is a ton of copper metallic sheen. This is similar to NARS Orgasm, but ColourPop released a shade in the past called Shark Attack that was like the exact same thing. And the difference I find for this is that instead of the Shark Attack, which has a more peach base, this one is more of a pink coral, and the Shark Attack had more of just a peachy gold shimmer on top, and this one is a copper shimmer. I wish I had Shark Attack so I could show it to you, but I do have MAC Expensive Pink, which is the exact same thing as NARS Orgasm. So I wanted to show you that and also compare it to a copper shadow. So here we have Game Face. In the middle is As You Wave, and this is MAC Expensive Pink. So as you can see, As You Wave is a lot lighter than Game Face. It isn't as orange or as deep of an orange, and then MAC Expensive Pink shows a lot more pink. So As You Wave does not look very pink at all in the pan, but in the swatch you can see a little bit more of that pink, which makes it more similar looking to Expensive Pink. Here is As You Wave. This is Game Face, and this is MAC Expensive Pink. So Expensive Pink does look a lot more similar to As You Wave, but this is a lighter, more peachy version where this is a little bit more intense. So if you have a bunch of shadows that look just like NARS Orgasm, you probably don't need this one because it is going to be similar enough, but I actually prefer this shade a lot more than Expensive Pink. And lastly, for ColourPop Board Shorts, this is, as I said, more of a copper bronze. I don't own any ColourPop pressed powder shadows similar to this, so I'm going to be comparing it to two MAC shadows. One is a little bit more of a taupey cool bronze, and then I have one that is a copper gold, so you can see how they compare to this shade. So starting right here is MAC Amber Light, in the middle is ColourPop Board Shorts, and then we have MAC Wood Winked. And as you can see, Amber Light is definitely the closest, but it has a little bit more orangey copper to it than Board Shorts does. But compared to Wood Winked is a lot more taupe, so it isn't very similar at all. Here is ColourPop Board Shorts. Here is MAC Amber Light, and in a swatch, I think even more, you can see how different they are in that Amber Light is a lot more orangey. And then there is MAC Wood Winked, which, as I said, is definitely not that similar. In my ColourPop Hits and Misses, I was wearing As You Wave on my lid, and then today I am wearing Banana Daiquiri on my lid. And every time I wore all of these shadows, I mixed them for my crease transition outer corner colors with the Yes Please palette. So now moving on to the Yes Please palette. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, you've all heard about it, and this was ColourPop's very first palette. It retails for $16. It comes with 12 shades, and these shades are smaller than a typical eyeshadow. So here is ColourPop Board Shorts, and this is the same size as any standard eyeshadow from Anastasia, MAC, Makeup Geek, and this is what it looks like compared to the size of the shadows in the palette. As you can tell, the palette shadows are smaller, but I don't think that they look itsy bitsy in any way. So the individual shadows are 1.5 grams, and the shadows in the palette are 0.85 grams. So it is actually almost half, which isn't a ton of product, but I don't think you're going to be going through this palette in a month, even if you use it on a daily basis. And it is very affordable. If you guys think of the Urban Decay Naked palettes, they come with 12 full-size eyeshadows, but it's $54. And this is also a very on-trend palette, a lot of amazing warm neutral colors, and I'm sure you guys have already seen a ton of videos comparing this to the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, and almost every single one of these shades is a dupe for the Natasha Denona palette, which is incredible. So in this palette you get 8 mattes and 4 shimmery metallic shadows, which I'm very happy with. I really like matte shadows, and I do prefer the formula of the matte shadows over the metallic shadows from ColourPop specifically, and I do find that the formula of the shadows in this palette are exactly the same as the formula of their individual pressed powder shadows. So for the packaging, it is a cardboard material with a magnetic closure, which is my favorite kind of palette packaging. I know some people think it's a little bit cheapy. I absolutely love it because it isn't bulky whatsoever. It's very easy to get into, so I love this. It doesn't have a mirror, which upsets some people. I don't care too much, but this would be a really nice size mirror if they had one. So on the front it says Cute AF, but on the back it says Yes Please. This is called the Yes Please palette, and they just wanted some cute sayings, which I get, but I honestly think it is kind of confusing because people have been saying this is the Cute AF palette, but I think people by now know it's Yes Please, but I wish it just said the same thing. And what I love is that on the back they list every single individual shadow. So I wanted to mention this because maybe it is obvious to people, but the shadow that you see here right on the back behind that shadow is not the name of that shadow, which confused me. So left to right, flip over the palette, left to right. So it is backwards if you think of it that way. I really wish that ColourPop would have just put "look at the shadow on the back" is the name of that shadow instead of it being backwards, because I think a lot of people are going to mess that up when it comes to tutorials. They're going to end up saying the wrong shade name, and maybe not. Maybe a lot of people are used to the names being laid out like this, but the only way that I'm actually remembering which shade is which is because two of the shadows in this palette are permanent. That would be this matte cream full zip, and then this light mid-tone matte warm brown in the shade Note to Self. Because those are permanent, I will look at the back of the palette and kind of orient myself and remember, oh, okay, it goes this way. Like, it's still taking me a little bit to get used to, even though I've used this palette a ton so far. And I am going to show you all the shades, tell you what the finishes are, and I'm going to read you the color description off of the ColourPop website. Full Zip is a matte warm ivory. Big Cocktails is a matte orange. Champs is a matte pale peachy nude. Bling is a metallic rust. Louie is a metallic duochrome red with a gold flip. Buttercake is a metallic pale yellow gold. Spoiled is a matte brick red. GNO is a matte burnt orange, and GNO stands for Girls Night Out. Mischief is a matte warm yellow. Note to Self is a matte warm caramel. Chauffeur is a metallic duochrome bright orange with a gold flip. And French Kiss is a matte deep red brown. Something else about the packaging is that this is going to get very, very messy. The material it is made of is just going to make eyeshadow stick to it, so you are going to have to probably go in and clean it up if a messy looking palette is going to bother you. And it's going to get even more messy because these shades, especially the mattes, are on the powdery side. Now, I don't find that it affects the performance. They're still very easy to build and blend. I really like them. It mostly just kicks up a lot in the pan, so you might get a little bit messy in between the eyeshadow pan, so just letting you know that. But I am very happy with the colors that they chose for this palette. I also think that they did a good job choosing which shades to be matte and which shades to be shimmer. I love that they have a matte cream color because I can use it as a brow bone highlight. And something that I love that I'm sure a lot of people hate, I love that they included a dark brown instead of a black. I don't ever wear dark shadows. I probably won't use this one very much, but I absolutely never, ever, ever use black shadow. So for me, whenever it's in a palette, it ends up being an untouched eyeshadow. So I was just so excited to see that this one was a deep dark brown. I much prefer that personally, but I know a lot of people don't. So as I said, when testing out this palette, I have mostly been doing the Summer Super Shocks on the lid and then using the matte shades from this palette in the crease. But I wanted to make sure that I did test out the metallics and use this palette all by itself, and I loved it. And I feel like I personally am able to create several full looks using only this palette. So I absolutely love all the colors in this palette, but there have been 3 shades that I have been using the most that I'm head over heels in love with, and I wanted to share with you. And they are all matte shades, of course. This shade Champs I absolutely love. Now this looks like a very light shade, but for me it is the perfect transition color because I am so fair. This does show up a little bit darker on the eye, and I do usually build up a couple layers of this, and it creates a really nice transition, especially for my fair skin tone, to create an even more seamless fade from the lid to the brow bone. So I absolutely love that color. Also, Note to Self is a really fantastic crease color because it is a really beautiful warm brown without looking too orange. And as I said, this is an individual shade, so I would definitely recommend it if you don't want this palette, getting that shade because it is fantastic. And then my favorite shade for the outer corner or the outer part of my crease is Nope. And my favorite shade for the outer corner, outer crease is the color GNO. This is a really, really awesome warm orangey brown. And as compared to Big Cocktails, you can definitely see that this has a lot more brown to it and isn't a stark orange like this one, which makes this even more of a wearable shade. So I am very happy with the performance. I am extremely happy with all the colors that they chose. I think this is absolutely an amazing palette. I think it is absolutely worth the hype. I'm just so impressed with the quality of this palette for the price. And I did not personally pick up the Karrueche She palette because I already have a lot of shades that are similar that I got from the ColourPop Valentine's collection. But my friend Lauren May Beauty did do a video on that palette. She showed you swatches and comparisons to other ColourPop shades. I will have that linked up here so you can check it out. If I didn't already have similar shades, I definitely would have purchased that palette because it looked beautiful. So I am very excited for ColourPop to release more palettes in the future. So overall, I am extremely happy with everything that I purchased. I'm so excited to be using everything, and I thought that these were perfect shades for the summertime. So if you guys picked up anything from any recent ColourPop launches or from this summer launch, please let me know what you purchased and what your thoughts are on them. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.